looked at a picture of the world's greatest newspapermen. A kid in front of a candy store. Well, tonight...
Dude, this movie is so good.
Did you?
You see
what
the way these shots
dude?
together?
My mind is blown.
Citizen Kane. The only thing I know about this movie is Rosebud. Is it Rose Petal or Rosebud?
It's Rosebud. Citizen Kane. Orson Welles, you know, his chunky self. Oh,
he's a chunky guy.
The wow. Fine cuisine.
Is that how he talks?
You know, when he was drunk.
I never heard him talk. I only seen like a still image of him.
You've seen him. He's the one
I've
guy.
seen him in a still. I never seen
the
him
champagne.
move.
He was the champagne guy. He was like, I'm trying to think. It was a commercial for wine or something.
So this is Citizen Kane.
Citizen Kane.
About Kane, the big red evil. You know, Undertaker's brother. And then he debuted in Hell in a Cell and ripped the cage.
This is the story about Kane.
The big red evil.
That's a spooky castle. Just like my house.
Your house is not this organized. Can I put my balls
Stop,
in the jar? I got that stuck in my head.
But why old Citizen Kane?
Out of here, see?
It's probably gonna be like that. Talking like this with a cadence.
Hey.
We're racist. That's
That's what they say. Oh,
there's a...
That was a cut. So is he murdered or
yeah, he died.
did he die of just natural causes? Are they aware that his last words were Rosebud, or is it like they're trying to figure this out? Because he said it pretty quietly. I wouldn't have been able to hear that.
It'd be like you died and your mom's a lame. But whose mom?
News on the march!
Xanadu.
Tents of Xanadu's palace. Paintings, pictures, statues, the very stones of many another palace. So big it can never be catalogued. The loot of the world. Xanadu's livestock, the fowl of the air, the fish of the sea,
Fake fish.
the beast of the field and jungle.
That elephant looked very skinny.
Yeah,
I saw the ribs of that.
Get malnourished.
elephant.
Since the pyramids.
Strangest funeral.
Here in Xanadu last week, Xanadu's landlord was laid to rest. America's Kubla Khan, Charles Foster Kane.
That's not the Kane I know and love.
I think that was Orson Welles. Right
Let me look at
there.
Orson Welles.
He was always a fat guy.
I never seen this guy. I only seen him in still pictures.
Dude, look up the wine.
I never seen this before.
Are you serious? He was...
Grocery stores, paper mills, apartment
He's
buildings.
a baller.
50 years flowed.
Charles Foster Kane.
Is it not
Mr. Johnson?
that on this occasion,
Johnson.
that boy, Charles Foster Kane, personally attacked you after striking you in the stomach with a sled?
Kane urged his country's entry into one war. 16 years after his first marriage, Kane married Susan Alexander, singer, at the town hall in Trenton, New Jersey. Chicago's Municipal Opera House. She divorced him, a still unfinished Xanadu. Then 1 week before election, defeat. Defeat that set back for 20 years the cause of reform in the U.S.
Don't believe everything you hear on the radio.
The chances for war in Europe.
I've talked with the responsible leaders, the great powers, England, France, Germany, and Italy. Take my word for it, there'll be no war.
He's wrong about that.
He is very wrong.
All we saw on that screen was that Charles Foster Kane is dead.
This is what it's like being in your house. This is what the lighting is like. Dude.
You guys ever imagine what it's like to be in my house? That's it. It's all dark and dank.
Sure. I tell you, Thompson, a man's dying words.
What word?
Just one word.
Rosebud.
Here's a man that could have been president, who was as loved and hated and as talked about as any man in our time. He's got something on his mind called Rosebud. Now find out about Rosebud.
So is this movie like The Hunt for Rosebud? They're trying to find out.
Yeah, why
what
he was
Rosebud
thinking
is?
and why he said that.
Right away.
Who told you you could sit down?
I thought maybe we could have a talk together.
Well, think again. And in my own business, you mind yours.
If I could just have a little talk with you, Miss Alexander.
Get out!
Maybe some other time.
So this is a hair? Or who is this?
The chick?
Yeah.
Wife.
That's his wife? How old is she supposed to be?
Yeah, it's the 60s.
I thought that was like his daughter.
The other day, when the papers were full of it, never heard of Rosebud.
The directors of the Thatcher.
This movie is shot really well, dude. This holds up.
Be careful, Charles.
And if Fred Graves had any idea all this was going to happen, he'd have made out those certificates in both our names.
However, they were made out in Mrs. Kane's name.
He owed the money for the board to the both of us.
The bank's
asking you for the last time. Anybody'd think I hadn't been a good
The sum of
husband, a father.
$50,000 a year is to be paid to you and Mr. Kane as long as you both live, and thereafter to the survivor.
It's all for the best.
I didn't know we'd get the whole, like, life story of Kane.
All the lights on it.
You going, Mom?
Well, no, your mother won't be going right away, Charles.
Where am I going?
You're going to see Chicago and New York and Washington, maybe.
Why aren't you coming with us, Mom?
We have to stay here, Charles.
You're going to be rich.
Oh, Charles, you almost hurt me.
What's that?
I'm sorry. Is it Jim?
Yes.
That's why he's going to be brought up where you can't get at him.
Where do they live, bro? There's like no neighbors.
Well, Charles, Merry Christmas. And a Happy New Year.
This guy's comb over.
May I again remind you that your 25th birthday, which is now approaching, full responsibility. Don't sell it. I'm coming back to America to take charge. I think it would be fun to run a newspaper.
So he doesn't care about gold or anything? He just wants to be a newspaper boy?
That's really your idea of how to run a newspaper?
Wait, so that's Kane?
You know perfectly what's wrong with every copy of the Inquirer since I took over.
Girls delightful in Cuba, stop. Inquirer campaign against the public transit company.
Still the college boy, aren't you?
Oh, no, Mr. Thatcher. I was expelled from college. A lot of colleges.
I think I should remind you of a fact that you seem to have forgotten.
Yes,
That you are yourself one of the largest individual
Mr. Thatcher.
stockholders in the public transit company.
The trouble is you don't realize you're talking to two people. As Charles Foster Kane, who owns 82,364 shares of public transit preferred, you see, I do have a general idea of my holdings. I sympathize with you. Charles Foster Kane is a scoundrel. His paper should be run out of town. A committee should be formed to boycott him. You may, if you can form such a committee, put me down for a contribution of $1,000. As such, it's my duty, and I'll let you in on a little secret. Also my pleasure. See to it that decent, hard-working people in this community aren't robbed blind by a pack of money-mad pirates. I have money and property. Look after the interests of the underprivileged. 60 years.
This movie is very well written, dude.
But time. What do you want to know?
We thought maybe if we could find out what he meant by his last words as he was dying.
That Rosebud.
I still don't believe that he said Rosebud loud enough, because he was like, Rosebud, and then let the snow globe go. And then the girl came running down the hall. So
yeah,
was he...
She could have heard Roll It Up.
Who heard him say Rosebud?
Who had the microphone?
Man was the biggest darn fool I ever met.
He made an awful lot of money.
It's no trick to make a lot of money. All you want is to make a lot of money.
Dude, this is a really good movie. Especially for 1941, bro.
I like the long shots. Like the whole setting is like a character in its own right.
Harvard, Yale, Princeton, Cornell, Switzerland. He was thrown out of a lot of colleges. He was with Mr. Kane and me.
A good look at it, Jedediah. It's going to look a lot different one of these days. How do you do?
How do you do? I thought it would be a nice little gesture.
My plans myself.
I was unable to make any preparation.
Matter of fact, I haven't got any plans. Get out a newspaper.
Oops. Its sanctum is at your disposal, but
Excuse me? I'm going to live right here in your office as long as I have to.
He's gonna live there.
You still eating? I'm still hungry. Now look, Mr. This is Harry Silverstone in Brooklyn who's missing. She's probably murdered.
They want to print that she's been murdered before, just because they assume she's been murdered? Like, before? Okay.
Murder of this Mrs. Harry Silverstone.
There's no proof of that. This is wild. Speculative news? You can't do this. Dude, this guy's comb over is so extreme.
Whoa!
Oh! Dude, this is scary. I can't even look at this, bro.
That's your anti...
What? I assume a bunch of older people are gonna watch this video, because this is a movie for the old niggas. Why, when your hair... Why do you keep the hair on the side going strong? When the top... You know how those people, they'll, like, shave the top clean, but leave the hair on the... Like, why do you do this, bro?
Well, it's just
let it...
I guess it's a
let it
spiritual
go.
thing, you know?
Just let it go.
Look, if God was like, let that hair sides go wild, but the top, let it go thin. The prophecy was spoken.
Oh, there's something I've got to get into this paper besides pictures. And I'll provide the people of this city with a daily paper that will tell all the news. I know you're tired, gentlemen, but I brought you here for a reason. 6 years ago, I looked at a picture of the world's greatest newspaperman. A kid in front of a candy store. Well, tonight...
Dude, this movie is so good.
Did you
see
what
the
the
way
freak?
these shots
Dude!
are, like, together?
My mind is blown!
It's the New Yorker.
This is so good.
684,132. There's a lot of pictures and statues in Europe you haven't bought yet.
I've been making statues for 2,000 years. I've only been buying for 5.
I don't have rich problems.
Here comes the ladies. Whoa, look at the legs on you! Look at the abs!
Mr. Bernstein, look at his necktie.
They making biddies hit their knees, bro.
No.
Oh, he can! Who is this one? Who is this one? His favorite son! His favorite son!
You need to dress like that.
I do not need to... tickets here, tickets here!
There's always a guy that looks like that.
I might turn into that one day.
Who buys the drinks? Who buys the drinks? Who
Thinks the dough was made to spend and acts the way.
These men who were with the Chronicle, weren't they just as devoted to the Chronicle policies?
Dude, this shot. You see how like he's in the reflection? This is crazy.
It's a good movie for today and for like 1941, bro.
Stuffed shirt. Am I a horse-faced hypocrite? School marm?
Thought I'd answer you any different from what Mr. Kane tells you. Well,
Diamond. I didn't know Charlie was collecting diamonds.
he's collecting somebody that's collecting diamonds.
But you got a society. Have we a society editor?
Townsend, this is Mr. Charles Foster Kane.
I've got a little social announcement. I wish you wouldn't treat it any differently than you would any other. Goodbye.
Hey, everybody. Looky out here.
Thomas Monroe Norton announced the engagement of their daughter Emily Monroe Norton to Mr. Charles Foster Kane. She's the niece of the President of the United States.
Didn't exactly see eye to eye. You take the Spanish-American War. I guess Mr. Leland was right. That was Mr. Kane's war. We didn't really have anything to fight about. But do you think if it hadn't been for that war of Mr. Kane's, we'd have the Panama Canal? Wish I knew where Mr. Leland was. A lot of the time now, they don't tell me these things.
I was his oldest friend.
Funny enough, I thought that guy had no nose.
He had no nose?
Yes, because of the lighting.
His nose is huge, bro. He looks like one of those goggles with like the nose and mustache.
That's true.
Maybe I was what you nowadays call a stooge.
Mr. Leland, you were going to say something about
Rosebud. A good cigar, do you? I've got a young physician here who thinks I'm going to give up smoking.
Oh, I'm afraid I haven't.
I suppose he had some private sort of greatness, but he kept it to himself. He never gave himself away. He never gave anything away. He never believed in anything except Charlie Kane. He had a conviction except Charlie Kane in his life.
Dude, this is really well written.
Well, after the first couple of months, she and Charlie didn't see much of each other except at breakfast.
This movie is gripping.
You're beautiful. You are. You're very, very beautiful. I absolutely adore you. It's a mistake that will be corrected one of these days.
Your Mr. Bernstein sent Junior the most...
So this is their whole relationship, just breakfast. You see how
Well, think...
What I
their
tell them to
demeanors is
think.
like changing? It was all like bashful at first, and now it's this. The passage of time was like displayed.
Couldn't help it. She must have had something for it. Well, that first night, according to Charlie, all she had was a toothache.
Ooh!
Is this horse and carriage everywhere? Where are they, bro?
They're in Ohio.
What are you laughing at, young lady?
Hooray!
Toothache? Oh. You mean you've got a toothache? What's funny about that?
You're funny, mister.
But if you wanted some hot water, could get you some.
What you need is to get your mind off it.
Excuse me, but my landlady prefers me to keep the store open when I
Dude,
have...
this is such a good movie. They're not even smashing.
What?
No, this is actually pretty wholesome, bro. You know it's like the 40s when like this 50-year-old man and this like 20-year-old girl.
But it turns out I've heard your name a million times.
You really like me, though, even though you don't know who I am. My mother died a long time ago, and her things were put in storage out west. There wasn't any other place to put them. Sentimental journey. I run a couple of newspapers. What do you do?
Me?
Mm-hmm. How old did you say you were?
What if she's like 14 years old?
22 in August. Wanted to be a singer. I always talked about grand opera for me, imagine.
You got a piano.
Yes, there's one in the parlor.
Would you sing for me?
Oh, you wouldn't want to hear me sing.
Yes, I would.
Well,
Oh, don't tell me your toothache is still bothering you.
Oh, no, that's all gone.
The transition.
Only one man who can rid the politics of this state of the evil domination of boss Jim Geddes. Mr. Kane, the fighting liberal, the friend of the working man.
One purpose.
That's the face!
To point out and make...
Why did he choose this to be his picture?
I need that on my wall.
Shows that I'll be elected. The working man and the slum child. Oh, they can expect my best efforts. Boss Jim W. Geddes. I know it does.
Little boy.
Bring the dawn on Jim Geddes. I mean what I say. Do you like your old man's speech?
If I ever, which I won't do, is go into politics. That's gonna be my.
Wait, is that current wife or is that old wife?
I think he was cheating.
Did he smash?
They were playing the song. I don't know. It
They
looked like
sang. They just sang.
We're doing the taxi.
There's a call I want you to make with me, Charles.
Wait, is that a side chick?
May not be about anything at all.
Come right in, Mr. Kane.
Oh.
Asked me to send your wife the letter. I didn't want it. He's been saying the most terrible.
Is that his political op?
I'm Jim Geddes.
Oh, no!
I made Miss Alexander send you the note, Mrs. Kane. Walter would first, but she did it.
I think I will postpone doing something about you until I'm elected. To start with, I think I'll break your neck.
Maybe you can do it, maybe you can't, Miss.
This is why I didn't think this movie would be this dramatic.
It's not that I care about him, but I'd be better off. So would you, Mrs. Kane.
Well, what about me? Charlie said my name would be dragged through the mud.
He's gonna drop out.
I'm not interested in the voters of this state right now. I'm interested in our son.
I'm staying here.
Oh, what the... Oh!
I'm Charles Foster Kane. I'm no cheap, crooked politician trying to save himself from the consequences of his crimes.
Is there anything...
No thanks, Mr. Bernstein. Better go home and get some sleep. I'm drunk. Well, if you got drunk to talk to me about... I'm not interested. That's the way they want it. The people have made that choice. It's obvious the people prefer Jim Geddes to me.
You talk about the people as though you own them, so they belong to you. As long as I can remember, you've talked about giving the people their rights, as if you could make them a present of liberty. That's going to add up to something bigger than your privilege, and I don't know what you'll do. Sail away to a desert island, probably. Lord it over the monkeys. Persuade people that you love them so much that they ought to love you back.
Toast, Jedediah, to love on my terms.
Are you through with politics?
Switched up to Betty.
Leonardo DiCaprio in these streets, bro. Dude, this is so good. Dude, this is such a good movie. Dude, these shots are crazy.
He ain't been drinking before, Mr. Kane.
The notice. What's he written?
It's Susan Alexander, a pretty but hopelessly incompetent amateur. Last night, opened the new Chicago Opera House in a performance of... I still can't pronounce that name, Mr. Kane. Her singing happily is no concern of this department. Of her acting, it is absolutely impossible to...
Go on. Of her acting, it is absolutely impossible to say anything except that in the opinion of this reviewer, it represents a new low. Have you got that, Mr. Bernstein, in the opinion of this reviewer?
I didn't see that.
It isn't here, Mr. Bernstein. I'm dictating.
Look, Mr. Kane,
There's my notice, Bernstein. I've got to finish my notice.
Mr. Kane is finishing it for you.
I guess he's fixing it up. I knew I'd never get that through.
Kane is finishing your review just the way you started it.
He's writing the review on his behalf? That's too much power, especially in like the 40s when there was like no internet and you controlled the press. You could write like, all the flowers are gay, and then they'll be like, the flowers, they're homosexual. They only like male flowers.
Whoa!
Yo. If your girl put on a bad show, you'd be like, write the review, bro, with a smile on your face. And I'm just like, trash, 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 trash. Just 50 times in a row.
I mean, it's your honest opinion. If my girl was like, baby.
Hey, Joe's, what is the name of that place? All right. I knew it all the time. Caught on, didn't you? I guess maybe I'm not as hard to see through as I think.
You think he knows what the Rosebud is all along? He's kind of given like that he's like holding stuff back so he'll listen to the story. If I dressed like this guy.
What kind of, is that a shirt?
I think that's a shirt underneath his robe.
That is the craziest design on a shirt.
I'm always wearing a visor.
What are your you doing your taxes 24/7?
Is that the purpose of visors? I never associated visors with taxes.
I've seen.
What is that?
I've seen it.
I'm associated with poker, so like you can cover your face. What is it? Why specific? What? Why is that specifically to taxes? Hold on, I need my tax advisor. What?
I've seen people wear it before.
How many people doing taxes have you seen wearing a visor?
I've seen it in cartoons. It's like a plastic see-through visor, and they're like doing the taxes with the old tax.
I've never seen this in my life.
Made the taxes here.
Forward.
She can sing pretty good. She can sing better than me, better than us.
Some people can sing, some can't.
She can sing. This Jew is finna vibrate.
What does that mean?
That was on the Say Anything album. If I saw that live, I'd be like, this is great.
I'm telling me he's your friend. Friend don't write that kind of review. All these other papers pounding me, I could expect that. What's that?
Declaration of Principles.
What? What is it?
An antique.
You the one that's got to do the singing? The one that gets the raspberries? Why don't you let me alone?
My reasons satisfy me, Susan. You seem unable to understand them.
Okay. Okay, Kane. He's gonna choke slam her.
Couldn't go through with the singing again. I know what it means to know that a whole audience just doesn't want you.
It's their loss.
Is it?
11:30.
New York?
11:30.
Night? Gee, 11:30. Charlie, I want to go to New York. I'm tired of being a hostess. I want to have fun. Charlie, please.
That is the biggest. That is huge. That's as big as a garage.
All these years, my heart goes around and...
Is that a whole pig?
That's a pig.
What's the difference between giving me a bracelet or giving somebody else $100,000 for a statue you're going to keep crated up and never even look at? Never really give me anything that belongs to you, that you care about.
So stop this.
I'm not going to stop it.
Right now.
You never gave me anything in your whole life. You just tried to buy me into giving you something.
Susan!
He looks like Darth Vader at the end of Return of the Jedi when he came out the mask.
But you gotta love me.
He just slapped his wife, though. Would you consider Kane a good person?
I think something's just been eating away at him.
I think he's a very complex character.
Please, Susan. From now on, everything will be exactly the way you want it.
You know when people do this, when they've had 40 years to do what the person asked of them, but then they only do it when the person has had enough? You could have done this 40 years ago.
You can't do this to me.
I see. It's you that this is being done to. It's not me at all. Not what it means to me. Yes, I can. In case you haven't heard how I lost all my money, and you'll learn a lot from him.
The time his wife left him.
That was loud.
My childhood?
But he looked at the snow globe.
That's what you know about Rosebud? I heard him say it that other time, too.
How much do you think all this is worth, Mr. Thompson?
Millions?
Millions!
What have you been doing all this time?
Playing with a jigsaw puzzle in a man's life. No, I guess Rosebud is just a piece in a jigsaw puzzle.
That's a lot of stuff.
That's a lot. Who's gonna get all this stuff, bro?
Well, they were saying that they're just gonna be selling this.
Yeah.
That's
Rosebud is the sled? He just wanted to reclaim the childhood again or something? That's some pretty sad stuff, bro. Dude, this was a complete story.
Dang!
Dude, that was good.
That was wild.
I like seeing these old movies because it just goes to show you how people have always been the same.
It was a sad movie. I liked the main character.
You liked the Kane? You were a Caniac?
Well, I like the restaurant Kane, and I like Kane as an actor.
Caniac.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, man. This is good. This was a classic. I see why this was hailed as the best movie, when this dropped. It holds up. You can see how influential this movie was.
Yeah, influential the character
of
Citizen Kane is because he has a lot of dynamics.
He has a lot of flaws. He was very flawed.
I know I'm still supposed to hate you. I know I'm still supposed to hate you.